This meeting of the Norwood City Council is hereby called to order. Please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, as a body we congregate in these council chambers. We pray for thy divine guidance, that we may do all things well, according to thy holy will. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Happy first day of fall. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden? Mr. Clark? Mr. Whittington? Here. Ms. Allen?
Here.
Mr. Thornbury? Here. Mr. Sanker? Here. Mr. Mumper?
Here.
Do we have 5 members present? That's a majority. We will proceed. We have several requests to amend the agenda. The first is a letter from the mayor regarding a request to address us under administrative reports. There is an ordinance to establish the stormwater assessments under the Ohio EPA NPDES general permit, declaring an emergency. An ordinance for the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Hamilton County Development Company for an urban land assistance grant, and an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or safety service director to enter into an amended easement agreement with Regent Realty and declaring an emergency. In a conversation, Mr. Brown called me earlier today and informed me that these 3 ordinances were going to be on. He hadn't interacted with the clerk's office on Friday. I told him that there were probably only going to be 5 folks here. He suggested we put them on the agenda and just have one reading, and that's fine. That's okay. So, Mr. Mumper.
I move we amend the agenda to add the 4 items you just mentioned.
So second. Excuse me. Second by Ms. Allen. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Whittington.
Is there cover letters attached with any of these ordinances that came through?
There are
Do we
not.
have anything like that?
Again, in my conversations with Chris Brown, my understanding is that he did not fill them out. He prepared well, maybe I should acquiesce to the law. Would you like to discuss this, Mr. Berkowitz? Or Mr. Brown just told me that he had prepared the ordinances. And the one is the stormwater permit was something that we had talked about earlier when council decided that they were not going to go with Hamilton County for the stormwater district. We were going to create our own. The second is the urban land development. The land assistance is an environmental cleanup on Carthage Avenue, where Quatman comes down into Carthage Avenue for a building that had collapsed, and this is to apply for a grant to clean that up. And the third one is to grant an easement to Regent Realty to put a parking lot on an empty street. That was his explanation to me.
I believe that our rules state that we're going to have cover letters on these ordinances as they come through. It would be nice if we could review these on Friday when we get the packets, but I understand that there's an emergencies, but this seems to be happening a lot. So I would request that the clerk monitor these and make sure cover letters come through in the future.
And we've had a discussion, and I know we try to do that, and it's up to you. Whether you want to put these ordinances on. I agree that it's helpful to have them on Friday and to know where they came from for questions. But in this case, there's only 5 members of council, so if we have one reading, there's time for explanations. And the clerk's office has tried. We've talked about it. Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to add those 4 agenda items. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington?
Here.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornbury?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have no minutes, and there are no requests to address council on agenda items. No reports of committees, so we'll move on to introductory readings of ordinances. The first is an ordinance to establish stormwater assessments under the Ohio EPA NPDES general permit and declaring an emergency. Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we have the first reading of the ordinance and also to request that at next meeting when we consider it further that there be a cover letter provided to explain this.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sanker.
Yes, just a brief explanation. A few months back, Mr. Beers explained about right now currently, we have to have a stormwater organization set up within the city. In the past, being we didn't have the money at the time to implement it initially, we went with the county. We paid the county to monitor and be our stormwater go-to as far as having engineers and that to monitor and put our paperwork together, making sure we are in compliance with the stormwater regulations. For the money that we had been paying the county, the only thing that we really received back from it initially that was just them being on paper our stormwater liaison to the EPA. We received no additional benefit as far as having any catch basins repaired, anything from the county as far as any return on our investment, I guess you might say. And so in looking into it a little further, we found that we could, with as long as we had somebody to take care and was certified with the EPA to run our stormwater system here or to monitor it, we could do it on our own. We will pay JMA, I believe it is, to be our liaison and that will take care of the paperwork and make sure we're in compliance. And then the fees that are collected that we were paying to the county before would then be used to take on any catch basin projects or any additional things that odds and ends that we couldn't do before from, well, the county, because we had to rely on them to come and actually do the work and pay for it. This way we'll have a little bit of money available in our own storm water assessment fund to be able to do some of these small projects as they come about as the money's available. So that's a thumbnail sketch of what we're doing with this.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I'd like to direct a question to Councilperson Sanker. How is it you were able to come by this in-depth information when the rest of us haven't?
I believe we all were informed of the stormwater changes or the suggested changes to the, going on our own in 2014. So, I mean, it was brought up to us because I believe council, and I'd have to go back and pull the records, but council, we had a vote on leaving the county and creating our own stormwater program here. So this council actually voted on that a while back to create this initially, and so this is actually the implementation of it.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I'd direct a question to the councilperson. I guess my question should have been further refined as were you approached by the Safety Service Director to be given this information, or did you just happen to ask him? Because I don't know how you were able to know this was going to be on the agenda tonight and have so much information, whereas I'm speaking for myself,
I can address that and say that I was called this afternoon, and I don't think anybody had those ordinances available to them until late this afternoon. Mr. Brown called me this afternoon and told me that he was going to put them on desks. So I don't know that anybody had any information about it ahead of time that I know of. Mr. Mumper?
Yes, as Mr. Sanker mentioned, we voted to get out of the group with Cincinnati, and when we did that night, it was explained to us that we were forming our own, but I didn't know these ordinances were going to be here, this ordinance would be here tonight, or any of them were going to be here tonight. But I remember exactly what Mr. Sanker said was told us when we got out of the Cincinnati group.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Madam President. Mr. Stormberg, I did not know that this was going to be on here. However, I'm just aware of it from the fact that we had gone through this before. I mean, I was around when we went with the storm water with the county and the city, and then when we came and decided we were going to, go out on our own. So that's the only reason I can give you an explanation of what that's for. However, I did not know that was going to be on. I don't know if the mayor has any more of an explanation, Madam President, or...
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no conspiracy here. Like Mr. Sanker said, this was voted on way back when. Mr. Gears had a conversation with the assistant law director this afternoon and wanted to know when we were going to have this legislation in place and on the council agenda. And the assistant law director said, I'm going to prepare it. It'll be on tonight. So I don't know where this suspicion is coming from. It's as
Thank you,
simple
Mr.
as
Mayor.
that.
I'm going to rein this in here. Thank you for the explanation. The motion on the floor is to have the first reading of the ordinance in, I'm sorry, Mr. Whittington.
And I don't understand what is this $6.76? Is that, who's paying that?
My understanding in talking to Chris Brown, and maybe Mr. Berkowitz can add something to this, but my understanding is that each of the stormwater districts has an ability to collect funds to carry out the program. And what was explained to me was that the $6.76 is less than what Hamilton County would pay. So if we had gone with Hamilton County, that's all the information that I have. I think the motion on the floor to have the first reading and to have a letter here or somebody here to explain at the next meeting would be appropriate to explain what an equivalent residential unit is. Mr. Berkowitz, do you have anything to add?
My understanding is that the 676 is what Norwood has been paying. The Hamilton County Stormwater District has been raising their rates. That was the purpose and the reason, aside from the other issues that have been mentioned. That is one of the advantages that council considered and voted on last year when city council decided to withdraw Norwood from the Hamilton County Stormwater District and create Norwood's own.
Any other discussion? Mr. Whittington?
I'd kind of like to have somebody come in and explain this program, if we don't mind. I would prefer this go on to next week's agenda, or 2 weeks' agenda. Just figure this out till everybody else can get in here and hear this also. So.
Is there any other discussion? Mr. Sanker?
No, the only thing, this, and if we can have somebody come in, whatever you want to do. However, since the inception of the Hamilton County or the Stormwater Assessment Program with the Ohio EPA, we had to be a part of this from the very get-go. And we had been paying Hamilton County to be our liaison, or they covered the paperwork and took care of it for us. So the fees, we've been paying these fees since the inception of this program when we were with the county. So fees would be the same as we would have been paying the county in the past, but it was all going to them, and we didn't really have our own stormwater fund. They just kept all the money. So.
Mr. Mumper?
I believe that the motion was made to have the first reading and require either somebody come to talk to us about it, or a letter of explanation be done? Could you repeat the motion?
That's correct. The motion on the floor is to have the first reading of the ordinance and to have someone send a letter or in person to explain the contents of the ordinance. That's the motion on the floor. Mr. Thornberry?
I'd like to amend that to have a cover letter and, rather, or. Someone come physically
Mumford, would you amend your
and be able
second?
to
That's fine.
answer questions regarding this.
So the motion on the floor then is to have the first reading of the ordinance and to have a cover letter and someone at the next council meeting on October the 14th to address concerns. Is there any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Next is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hamilton County Development Company to administer the Urban Land Assistance Grant and declaring an emergency. Mr. Sanker.
Madam President, I didn't know where we're going to have the first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry. We
Sorry.
have the first reading. Thank you, Mr. Sanker.
Ordinance to establish stormwater assessments under the Ohio EPA MPDES general permit and declaring an emergency.
Good catch. Next is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hamilton County Development Company to administer the Urban Land Assistance Grant and declaring an emergency. Mr. Mumper.
I move we have the first reading and all of the above that was said with the last motion.
A cover letter and a person to address concerns. Is there a second? Ms. Allen? Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have the first reading.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hamilton County Development Company to administer the Urban Land Assistance Grant and declaring an emergency.
And the third ordinance is an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or safety service director to enter into an amended easement agreement with Regent Realty LLC and declaring an emergency. Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we have the first reading and that we, again, have a cover letter by the next meeting to explain this and an individual well-versed in this, could be the mayor, could be the safety service director, it doesn't matter to us, but somebody well-versed in it who would be prepared to answer questions regarding the ordinance. I know it's a little lengthy. You want me to shorten that?
We understand. Is there a second? Mr. Whittington. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have the first reading.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or safety service director to enter into an amended easement agreement with Sergeant Realty LLC and declaring an emergency.
We'll move on to administration reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. We had a discussion with the clerk of courts and the police department, and here recently there's been some citation issued up around the University Station, and it was determined that an expired parking meter was $10, and some of those people will pay $10 to park all day. So what we've done is clerk of courts worked with the chief of police, and we're going to raise the price of parking violations. They haven't been touched in 10 years, and they're still lower than Cincinnati. Our tickets will range from $20 to $35, with the exception of parking in a fire lane, which will go from $25 to $50. Cincinnati meters, on the other hand, are $45 in street parking violations, and anywhere from $44 to $56. So it was based on this information that we had up there that after 10 years, it was decided to raise the parking limit. So we put that into effect. So there were some tickets wrote out. Those tickets will be adjusted and written in as citations are issued. Because if somebody's gonna park in a meter and you're gonna charge them $10, it's cheaper to park, pay the $10 and park there all day. So that will go in, I believe, October the 1st.
This is going to be citywide, not just at University
No,
Station?
no, that's citywide.
Yeah.
But there's not, it's, if you look around, our parking citations are cheap. So those will be raised. The resurfacing from Williams Avenue up Edmondson or Smith to Edwards Road should begin October the 1st. They will be rotomilling probably at night. I understand the Marriott Courtyard has soundproof windows and walls, which will be sorely tested. And that should start October the 1st and should be completed in 3 to 4 weeks. So that will be rotomilling, lining, everything from Williams Avenue all the way up to Edwards. So that, I think, will be good. We also, tomorrow, we will open salt beds. Now, we're sitting on probably 500 tons of salt. We highly suspect, according to news articles and everybody else, after last year, salt's going to be high. So we have no idea what that will bring. But by stocking up as we did in the last few years, we were able to store quite a bit of salt at a much lower price. And as we have that facility down here and we're able to store it out of the weather, it's sort of paying off. So we will know tomorrow, hopefully, what it's going to cost us. The other thing is we've been invited to a ribbon cutting, and it's this place called Cycle Bar. It's it's described, and I know several members, I'm sure council will want to attend it. It's a sort of a rock concert cycle place where you can go in and listen to rock music and just pedal your heart away. They're supposed to be growing all over. It's supposed to be a really nice facility, so that will happen on Friday the 26th.
Where's it located?
Over at Brookwood. And also there was a mention earlier about the ribbon cutting for University Station will be Thursday at 5 o'clock. So, we hopefully a lot of people will show up. And as the President of the Council said, it's a nice facility up there. It took us a lot of trials and tribulations to get it that far. I still believe that there'll be a ripple effect coming out from that. I know there's been a letter of intent signed on some property in the vicinity. I'm not at liberty to say where, so the interest is starting to pick up. All those apartments are rented. The businesses are starting to move in. It's starting to move. So these are all positive things, and it's good. It's good for us. It's good for the city. They have other people come in and see the progress and see the work and see the new development going in. And like was said to me earlier by another member of council, said, some people say, well, all we do is think about development. And like he said, and like I say, developments pay the bills. Companies and new developments are lifeblood. So, and that's all positive things. So I think that's going to be a situation where people are really going to enjoy it. One other thing, President of Council also reminded me that starting Monday, I believe it is, they're going to start taking down trees on the islands from Floral to Linden with some grant money, and the tree boards worked with Greg Oros and to start, half those trees are dead or dying, and it'll be a way to clean those islands up. If you remember what the island looked like from Smith Road down to Floral, we had residents over there complaining, and because of that establishment across the street. And now it really looks good. And working with the tree board and Greg Orris and Donna working on it, we will be ready to move into the next phase. That's a unique situation over there, that Park Avenue with them islands running down through there. And hopefully down the road, you know, by having that trees planted and having that look a lot better and like better, we've had conversations with the owners of United States Playing Card, and they also are looking forward to seeing that develop because, as you know, the main entrance of the Playing Card looks right down Park Avenue, so that also is a positive thing. Other than that, also I'll hand out some, these are the lease schedules in case you're contacted. And people, those are the lease schedules. They're fairly simple. If you're contacted, that's when the leaves will be picked up. So, outside of that, I might add, after discussion, everybody was pretty accurate on that MSD thing. That bill, that $6.76 has been paid for a long time, and it's gone to MSD, and we have gotten nothing for it. So when council voted to eliminate it some time back, it was decided to form our own. So we will get them funds, and we will pay somebody to administer it. And if we pick up $40,000 a year net, we can use those funds either to match or do our sewer repairs on the corners and stuff like that. That's what those funds are for. We were sending that money to MSD, and we got nothing. And I think that was explained at the latest council meeting. So as far as that goes, Mr. Gears had a conversation with Mr. Brown today and talked to him, asking about where it stood, and he said he would prepare him for tonight. So that's what that's all about. There's nothing there. It's just a way of taking the money that we were sending to somebody else and keeping it ourselves and using it for our benefit, rather than send it to somebody else and not get anything back in return. So that was the intent, because we were paying for, you know, the sewers on the corners and that, we was paying to repair all those. We can use these funds to make those repairs, or maybe down the road use it for a grant or a matching grant. So that was the intent. Everybody's always paid that. It's just now being diverted from the county by passing this orders. It diverts from MSD, then the county auditor will send it to us. So I hope that explanation is satisfactory.
Questions of the mayor? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have another request to address council. Chief Kramer, would you like, let's go ahead and, so what is it? We want to read his letter, and then we'll have you come up and address council now.
9/19/2014. William F. Kramer, Chief, Norwood Police Division. I would like just a few minutes to speak to council this coming Tuesday, 9/23/14, about purchasing new police cruisers. I have already sent the particulars to Finance and courtesy copy Mr. Stith. Respectfully, William Kramer.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we vote to receive and file this letter and give Chief Kramer the opportunity to speak.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington.
Yes.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes.
Mr. Sanker.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did everybody get a copy of the letter? I thought Vera was going to send it out. I'm not sure if she just sent it to the finance
It was in
committee.
packets.
Okay. Really, I don't have anything to add except what's in the letter. I'm requesting that we purchase 3 Ford SUV police package cruisers. The price of the cruiser total is $43,889. That's with the equipment from Camp Safety. The payments, and I apologize, I had that written down, but I don't.
It's their bill.
What's that?
It's 15,309.43.
Oh, thank you. I don't have my reading glasses, so.
I can sympathize with you.
Oh, there it is. That's the other. Okay, thank you. So it's for the 3 of them, the lease payment, it's 10 payments twice a year for 5 years for $15,309.43. I said that I would take care of the first payment using the money from drug forfeiture funds, and I would also, in almost all likelihood, be able to take care of the second payment. We are selling some of the cars over at Park Avenue that have been seized. That's still in the process, but it's hopefully close to being done. So what would happen is we don't take delivery usually takes 8 to 10 weeks. So if you order them in October, they would probably deliver sometime in December. The first payment's not due until 90 days after that, which would be right around March 2015. So I can make that payment, and I can make most, if not all, the September 2015 payment, which would mean the city would not be on the hook for anything really until 2016. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but we are in dire need of cruisers. I can tell you the other day I was working, and we had an officer who had a traffic stop that was having some trouble, nothing major, but he asked for another car. Supervisor on the desk went out, and we had no cars for him to use. He eventually found some keys to the old SUV that we used for the major accident team, and was able to get up there that way. So appreciate anything you could do to help us out. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions of the chief? Mr. Whittington?
Is this a new concept with SUVs? You've had just regular cruisers. I mean, do they get better gas mileage, or are they?
I want to say that I really cannot speak to the gas mileage. What I can tell you is we bought the Dodge Chargers this last time and have not had very good fortune with them. We've been in the shop a lot. All 3 of them have been in for the brakes at least once, and a couple of them have been in several times for the brakes, among other problems. The SUVs, we have talked to other police departments who have used them. We've talked to Camp Safety. Room-wise, they have more room, which is important, especially for some of the taller or bigger officers. And they pursuit rated, so they really can do everything now that the a regular sedan cruiser could do.
Any other questions of the chief? Mr. Sanker?
No, just comment, these are 2015 models. They're not, like a 14 that was still left over on the bid. These would be 2015 models as well, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, chief.
All right, thank you.
Move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business?
Oh, gosh, let's...
Mr. Thornberry?
Well, I'm just trying to, I want to set up, make sure everybody knows that we will be having a community development committee meeting, seeing as that's ongoing. I just assumed that'd be unfinished. It'll be Monday, October 6th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Right now on the agenda, Jeff Chamont from Nair Properties will be there to discuss the plans for the proposed Reliant Medical facility that is being proposed for the corner of Ross and Section Avenues. Presumably by the time it gets to our committee, he will have been through the Planning Commission, and we'll have this will be part of the steps before bringing it before full council. Offhand sounds like a good setup. Also at this meeting, Jeannie Sickinger, who's been heading up the group that is working on the Ellesmere Community Garden Park, there at the corner of Ellesmere and Williams, will be appearing and giving a little update on some of the things. I think I saw an email today that I didn't go past it coming to and from work today, but she said some new dirt may have been dumped there and things are proceeding, but she's going to come and give us an update on some of the latest
Revised
efforts.
plans again.
Say it again.
Revised plans
Oh, the
again.
revised plans, yes, there's been, the layout's been tweaked and so on. So just to call that meeting and have it distributed, alert everyone to attend and hear all the good stuff going on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thornberry. Any other unfinished business? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Mr. Sanker?
Madam President, I'd like to put Chief Kramer's letter and proposal on the 3 new cruisers in the Finance Committee, and I'd like to, we're going to call a Finance meeting, but Mr. Stith and I have been going back and forth on the phone on a few different items, so there's a few things we need to discuss, but hopefully we can throw this in Finance and have a Finance meeting within the next week or so. See about getting this reported out if everybody agrees, and then at that point we can request an ordinance, and if everything goes well by our first meeting in October, we can potentially move forward. So I'll get with Mr. Stith on some dates, and then I'll see about what works for you guys.
So that's a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Mumford? Is there any discussion? The motion on the floor is to place Chief Kramer's letter into Finance Committee and to consider it at the next Finance Committee meeting. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes.
Mr. Mumford.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Is there any other new business? Mr. Sanker?
Yes, I put a note on everybody's desk with some numbers that we had talked about at Finance, just in general, and had requested and send it through from the fire department. Then I think at the Finance, I think we probably will address that as well. I'm hoping to have, and we also discussed about the possibility of some small salt trucks for public works. Hopefully we'll have that information by then as well, so we can go through all those at the same time. And then we can get some more detail on those other 2 items. So just an explanation of what that is.
Thank you, Mr. Sanker. Any other new business? I would like to announce that we were notified by our consultants that our funding for community development block grant funds is coming up for public hearing, and it does require 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is just to generally discuss possible options for how we intend to spend our allotment of community development block grant funds. And then the second public hearing is to more specifically for you to hear, to allocate how those funds are to be spent specifically. And so it does require a public hearing and a public notice. I've asked the clerk's office to go ahead and advertise this so we can get in the required 10 days. And so I'd like to set the dates of those 2 public hearings for October the 14th for the first one, and then the second one for October the 28th. We need to do this prior to November the 1st, hence why we need to do that. So I'll just announce that those public hearings will take place on those 2 dates. Is there any other new business? All right, we'll move on to communications. We dispense with the first. The second is a letter from Chuck Barlow regarding August earnings tax report.
To Norwood City Council from Chuck Barlow, Earnings Tax Department, RE Monthly Earnings Tax Report. Attached is the monthly report for August 2014, indicating collections in the amount of $981,601.41. This reflects an average year-to-date increase of 6.7% from 2013. Should you have any questions, please contact the Earnings Tax Department.
Mr. Thornberry.
Yes, Madam President, I move that the report be received and filed.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Next is a letter from Chuck Barlow regarding the July earnings tax report.
To Norwood City Council from Chuck Parlow Earnings Tax Department, RE Monthly Earnings Tax Report. Attached is the monthly report for July 2014 indicating collections in the amount of $1,226,564.35. This reflects an average year-to-date increase of 5.4% from 2013. Should you have any questions, please contact the Earnings Tax Department.
Mr. Mumper.
Move the letter be received and filed.
Seconded by Mr. Sanker. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Finally is a letter from the mayor regarding mayor's court fines.
Ms. Donna M. Lake, President and members of Norwood City Council, Norwood City Hall. Dear Madam President and members of council, enclosed, please find the report for Norwood Mayor's Court for the month of August 2014. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Thomas F. Williams, Mayor, City of Norwood.
Mr. Mumper.
Move the letter be received and filed.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have 2 absent members. Mr. Mumper.
Move we excuse the absent members.
Seconded by Ms. Allen. Is there any discussion? I want some of that salmon that Mr. Brady caught today. He caught a king salmon, so maybe he'll feed us all next time.
Did he get hurt catching it?
It's a big fish.
You nibbled a bit.
The motion on the floor is to excuse the absent members. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Ms. Allen?
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry,
Yes.
Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.